Good morning, my professional friends, or evening, wherever you're watching this video. This is Tracy Brown, your somatic dietitian and attuned eating specialist. And I said in my little headline early this morning that I wanted to talk about something that I have resisted doing for a long, long time. And maybe you're there too. Or maybe, honestly, you should be teaching this lesson here today on knowing your numbers. And if you watch any business show, watch any business book, they're going to really talk to you about knowing your numbers. Like, where do you get the most of your referrals from? Where do most of your calls come from for potential clients? How long do those clients stay from what sources? And it's something I just, I kind of always knew sort of in the back of my mind what was going on. But as time goes on and you get busier and you see new bright and shiny things and you try to do everything, you start to find that you kind of get away from what got you to where you're at. And so I want to share today a little bit more about that. So maybe some of you are like me, that you start off on, especially if you're doing any online marketing, you start off and maybe in person. Let's just talk about the community aspect first. So when I first started doing private practice, I did all kinds of stuff. Like, of course, talk to therapists and doctors and acupuncturists, as many people as I could. And that works. It does work. And don't stop doing that. I also just started trying to do talks for Girl Scout meetings. And oh my gosh, I was invited to like a nurse symposium thing one time, which went terribly because it was like I was a little minnow in a shark pool. I'm so glad I did it, because maybe a seed got planted of Health at Every Size, 12 years ago, whenever I did that talk. But what I'm trying to say is that it's really important. Let's say you're just doing community outreach, which you can build a really lovely business doing that. Is that I didn't think until like a couple years into like really just kind of killing myself trying to do talks everywhere, is that even if it sounds really good, there's a possibility. Now, I'm not saying that if you love doing talks, you should do them as much as you love it and did not have so much pressure on it building your business. But most of us here probably want to feed our kids, if we have any, and maybe help them go to college one day. So we probably maybe don't have the opportunity to just do talks as much as we want to, and for free or whatever, or not to feel like this is a marketing opportunity. And so it takes a lot of really good mindset work to be able to do these things. And like, this is, building hopefully traction for my business, but also I'm also doing it really for like a really open, helping heart, and you really seek to put this out in the community. So you can do both for sure. But I do want you to think about, whenever you pick something in your community, really know clearly your intent for it, and be tracking this. Like, have your spreadsheet. Like, okay, when I do talk to these certain kind of places, I don't really ever get referrals from it, and be okay with that if that's a part of what you're giving back and your outreach is. If you know that like there's only so much that you can do, then you need to make note of that too. I can only do one talk every 3 months, in that kind of way, to not totally drain myself for the activities that actually help put food on my table. So it's got to be a both and. So the same thing applies for online. I have a presence on pretty much most of the major social media platforms, and I used to try to do them all, and I never could do any of them or all of them at the same time very well. And I'll just be really honest about that. And you don't really need to. And so it's really your decision. It's really important to get very clear about what your goals are. If it's to build more trust with your audience, and those are kind of posts you want to put out there. If you're trying to get clients, you want to make sure there's call to actions to most things, whether it's a free thing or a paid thing, and alternate those things. But be tracking. And I don't like tracking. I just don't. It's just my left brain is like, I don't want to do as much of that. I'm very right brain. And so I create a lot of stuff in a lot of volume. I can do that really easily. But you have to have your left brain just as much engaged and on board with building your business, because you want to know like if what you are making and spending your efforts on, again, it meets certain goals. Like if some of your goals are outreach, then do the posts that you're doing in, you know, full-heartedness for sure. If and I think again it can be both. But I want to go back to the tracking, is that if you're trying to do every platform and you're noticing you're not getting much traction, you really need to look at like, okay, what's happening with that? If you're on Instagram, and you know, I really highly recommend it. Let's say if you're on Instagram and you're growing, but it's really, really slow, and it hasn't been enough to, if your goal is to, you know, build some trust with people and maybe get some clarity calls or referrals or whatever, you got to do more than that than just post memes and photos. It's going to be about a lot of your message being honestly probably really clear and heartfelt, and with some oomph and passion, not just posting to be posting, and engaging, like engaging on your post and asking questions of people, and noticing if you do that for like say 3 months and those efforts are paying off, keep doing it. Don't get distracted by what I'm doing or what somebody else is doing, if that's your place to be. And so you all know that here I'm here on Facebook like all the time. And people are like, oh my gosh, do you do videos every day? I'm like, no, actually not. But I just have so many out there from years of doing them. It might seem like that, but I post regularly because honestly, I love it. I love doing videos. I like doing the little kind of questions that I ask of people. I like to get in there with people and actually to show people how I actually really think. And yeah, you can do that on any platform. You can do that on Pinterest. You can do that on YouTube. You can do that on all the platforms. But you need to be tracking the engagement. You need to be tracking the inquiries. And you know, if you are getting 75% from one place, but you're trying to do other things that aren't giving you any, you're like 1 every 6 months, I think you have your answer there. And so that goes for your in the community opportunities as well. It's really important that you are recognizing who is liking and trusting you and referring to you, and the places that are not, and really being just very mindful of that. So that's why not being afraid to know what's working for you. Like I used to like just put my head down and just try to do more of all the things, and more and more and more. Like I've done lots of coaching of every platform there is and trying to do everything, versus like, well, you know, you're only one person and you probably can't do all the things really well, because all of these things take a lot of time and tweaking. Like, you know, I do a lot of free content, a lot of call to action kind of stuff. I do some sponsored and paid stuff. And you have to be really honest, like, you know, you might be putting lots of time or lots of money into something, and it's, you know, after, you know, these things do take time to grow, but you know, after 6 months and a year, if you're really putting a lot of time or effort or money or sweat or heart and tears into something and it's not quite happening, you really got to look at like what part of the chain's not working. And it could be in your message. It could not be clear enough. It could be in the journey you take people through to have them maybe trust you enough to want to call you. It could be in when they call you, you don't really clearly offer a solution to their problem, and that they shouldn't wait forever to want to solve that. It could be a breakdown of those places, and that could be tracked too. This is something I just started doing finally this last 6 months, is I look at my email sequence. Do people even open my emails? I didn't even know that. I mean, I vaguely knew that mine was in the range of what's acceptable, but it wasn't awesome. So I've been really working on kind of tweaking my emails, and whether that's in the titles or that's in just my asking for any calls to action, like, hey, call me up if you have any troubles. You know, really look at like if you're putting a lot of effort to something and there's not a return, whether in your whatever you're desiring is, whether it's outreach or it's in seeds planted, or if it's in clarity calls and people signing up with you for you to provide them a service of helping them with a relationship with food, and they're having success with that. So look at your process all along the way, from the moment you do a talk with a therapy group, or you do a blog post or a video or a meme, and look at the ones that get that really seem to resonate with people, and they are viewing or sharing or whatever. And frankly, it's like more of that. And then what's the step after that? If you don't give people a next step, that's it. And there might not even think of it again. It takes a lot of time for people, and just like anything else, just like we talk about food exposures for kids 30 times, well, it could be that way, or maybe it'd be 100 times for people to maybe see something that you offer and be like, okay, yeah, I think that I need to do that, or I need to reach out or whatever. So just be thinking about, there's a difference between lots of exposures and readiness. There's a difference between like, oh, they love my stuff, but I don't give them the next step. And you're not going to know that unless you're tracking, like where things are kind of falling off. So if anybody's, I got some people here live, I would love to answer your questions about this for you in your journey of either getting your practice started, or maybe you're really just spinning your wheels online and you don't really even know like where to go next. Maybe you've been trying some stuff and it's not working. I got a few minutes here. I got about 5 minutes. I would love to answer any of your questions if you have some, or you can tag me later if you think about it. And so remember, in this group, we do kind of a mix of like decoding and counseling skills. But I also know that like if you have these amazing skills that people don't know about it and you're struggling in your business, you're going to feel really frustrated, because I want you to be able to have, there's two things that I feel like my mission for professionals is about, is to feel really, really confident in your work with clients in terms of like the hard stuff. I did a clarity call with somebody the other day, and it's like, we get to this place where it's like, I hate my body. And then as dietitians, because we don't have a lot of training in how to do like the underlying work, but then still stay in our scope of practice, we just loop and loop and loop with people around like, let's say, body hatred. So my job is to teach you how to not even get in those loops with people in the first place through my decoding skills and somatic trainings. And we do little tidbits of like that sharing here, whomever wants to. And then the other part is to be able to afford, honestly, the training you might need for those things. I understand that if you don't want to have 4 jobs, you probably need to be getting regular referrals. And so you have the money not only to take care of your family, but to continue to up your skills. So this is what this video is about, is like, I want to help you get unstuck with your efforts to fill your practice or your mindset around business. And, I'm no guru at all. I've just learned so much over the last 14 years and have kind of fallen in love with the process of learning about how to reach people and serve people at the best possible level without it feeling icky. It doesn't have to feel icky. In fact, it's kind of pretty fun. And I know that me feeling confident about what I offer helps my clients feel confident about like that I can help them. And it's not because of everything I say, it's just being able to really, really listen. And when they have objections, which all humans have objections, I can't tell you times that, I've worked with professionals, whether it's supervision or bigger trainings, and I can come up with a bunch of reasons why it's not the right time, I don't have the money, all kinds of things. And sometimes it's true that, I don't need to overburden myself. I've already got too much on my plate. But sometimes it's like, yeah, I'm just, there's a part of me to really hold myself back from fully doing the program that I paid for, or whatever the issues are. And, those are important things I'd like to help you all with too, because, I just see too many practitioners get overwhelmed or frustrated and quit. And then if you're not visible or not there to help, then people don't get your service. So I don't want that. If you have any questions, please tag me. If you're still watching live here, I would love to hear from you about where you're stuck, where you're struggling, and let's work through it. So we'll see you in another video. I'll probably do another live next week, or maybe later this week around I want to talk a little bit about, which I haven't done in a bit, kind of going back to some of the decoding work. So we're going to start a little bit more on that again, probably either end of this week or early next week as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.